But at the same time, you you can't, like, I remember boot camp. We did hand-to-hand combat training. We spent a week on it. I don't even remember. I think at the time, because I looked up the history of when the army was doing what, and it was more judo oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get done. We spend this week, right? And then the drill sergeant sit us down, and they're like, now, so they call civilians jodies.
Right.
Like they sing. I don't know if you were in the military, so I was
No.
presuming you.
No.
So
Yeah.
there's like cadences you sing when your marches, like Jody's got your girl and gone.
Yeah.
Like, they're making fun of you because most of the time when you're in boot camp, your girlfriend that you had before, she's already gone. She's out on dates with Jody, and so it's Jody this, Jody that, and so they sit us down on the bleachers. We get done all this week of these really cool techniques. We're throwing each other around. We're learning these awesome hand-to-hand combat skills. And then he's like, now, don't be going down to the local bar and picking a fight with Jody thinking that you can kick their ass because you're going to get your butt kicked. It was a little more vulgar than that.
Yeah.
Many expletives thrown in there that I won't do for your podcast.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there like, well, what the hell did we just learn this stuff for then?
Yeah.
But he was aware himself that your week of hand-to-hand combat training is not going to suffice to deal with somebody even in a bar fight.
Yep. 100%. It's like first aid, man. You take first aid, like unless you're immersing yourself, or you're dealing with issues all the time on a regular basis, you're not gonna be able to apply all that knowledge, on demand. Like, yeah, no, for sure. The traditional martial arts has its merits, man. I mean, for me, the method there is the drill and kill. The repetition, the focus, the discipline, all of that stuff is necessary. But then you got to marry that with aliveness and efficiency. And, like for me, like, I don't know as many forms as you do. I think you mentioned you've got like 30 plus forms behind your belt. I think I've got close to 20 behind my belt. And I find for me, it's overkill, man. There's so much overlap and all that. Like to me now, forms are I use it as a, how can I say, like a reference point, and also as a exercise tool, in so many levels. Like I use it just to train.
Chris, let me ask you. Let me pose this question to you. Okay?
Yeah, please.
And I'm not trying to sideline your, like, everybody has their own path, and if I appreciate and respect people that just want to learn forms because they think they're cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do what I did if people hadn't done that, because they wouldn't have preserved these techniques that I could even pull from, right?
Right.
But let me ask you this. Out of those 20 forms, I don't know how many techniques there are in the 20 forms, but how many of those do you use when you spar and fight?
Rarely.
And so if you're not, like, when you're 70 years old, presuming that you're going to do this the rest of your life, and you're getting ready to move on, and somebody said, well, what is Chris Hansen? What was his style? Oh, well, he taught karate, and these are the forms. Oh, well, those aren't your forms. Those are some guy that was alive, like, however many years, generations before you.
Yep.
It's not representative of what you are. You're now a carbon copy of that guy that's dead.
Bingo.
Of a ghost.
Yeah, no, bingo. Your point. Oh my gosh, we could start a whole new podcast on this. It's something that Ian and I talked a lot about too. Like, it's the whole idea of evolution and tradition. Like, what people don't understand is it's like what you mentioned earlier on too. Like, you created, to your point, you created a form based on your experience, so you could transpose that to your students. You picked, I think if I remember, you said you picked certain locks and flows that you used, and you put it together in a form. Why? So that, because A, you found it useful. B, you packaged it so that it's easy to remember, right? And you passed it on. And then I'm sure, I'm assuming here, but I'm sure that your expectations for your students would be to take it and make it their own based on sparring, right? And live drilling, right? I mean, so all these things, people don't understand. They like to stick to the origin and preserve it, like, you know, like in a time capsule. But
Right.
the problem is, these masters, they didn't expect you to do that. They wanted you. This was just a lesson plan, right? I'm a
Yeah.
school teacher, right? So I have a plan, and I'm telling you, most of my plans fall apart. Why? Because they're just an outline. Like, look, to our point, I had this plan here, but I've managed to maybe pull off maybe 3 points on here, but it's dynamic. It's, you know,
Right.
like we're just
Right.
flowing, and
Conversation has changed. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that's the nature of physicality too, right?
Right.
So I mean, these forms to me are great, but to your point, I do use a lot of the ideas behind these forms. I don't use these forms carbon copy. There's no way. I can't pull off strikes like that. But I mean, these rotations are, they translate into like more into a boxing thing. Like if I'm gonna
Yeah.
rotate like these, we have all these in Chinese Kung Fu and in karate. But to me, all that is a parry. It's a parry or some sort of a overhook. If I'm coming in, if I manage to come in,
Yeah.
to me that's an overhook or an
But
underhook.
a lot of those, a
you know?
lot of this that you see is, I'll give you a good one, like right
Yeah.
off the bat. This is not a punch.
Right.
It's a lapel grab.
Yeah.
And this, like for example, is a knee pick. Pick the
Right.
leg.
Yeah.
Now you're holding their leg and you're pushing the lapel and you dump them on the ground.
Yep.
And we go back to that part of the conversation. If all you know is striking,
Right.
then you look at that move, and if the energy is not expressed perfectly, right? So everybody's been really keen on saving these forms. Like, this is the exact move, and it came after this move, and this one was before it, and this is the way it was taught by master so and so and teacher so and so. Everybody's been so good at that, but there's the game called telephone, right?
And it's broken.
And little things,
Yeah.
little nuances got lost.
Yeah.
And the inflection point. So if people are carrying on the shell and the form, but they don't know the technique anymore, the inflections change. So maybe it's the exact same move that they see, but they change the energy in the move, so now it looks like a punch.
Yep.
But it wasn't a punch, it was a throw. Boom.
Oh no, I get it. It's you are what you know, right? Like my Aki Jiu-Jitsu, my teacher, my founder of this style here,
Yep.
Dainichi Kempo. It's an Aki Jiu-Jitsu style. He was one of the guys that opened my mind up. He says, "Listen, man, you got to explore it all." He says, "Take these things as tools." And he goes, "When you play with different people, they'll teach you how to use those tools differently, right?" So for example, like your point, we have this motion, the high receiver, the block, so to speak, right? I was taught it as a block, but later on when I started to play with different teachers, this particular teacher, Vic Arnold, right? He passed away in 2015. But anyway, love the man. He uses it as a single leg. So he said a single leg pick and a throw. So, he'll do some sort of setup or get off the line or whatever. He'll come in, shoot in, come down on one knee, ankle pick. So he'll ankle pick and then come right up and then ram this into your whatever. If his hands are up.
Frame.
Yeah, it's a frame, and then boom, you just lean, and the guy falls. So from the sidelines, it looks kind of like you're ankle picking, and bam, you're just throwing in, right? So you see guys that grapple, guys that strike and grapple, you see this come out in different shapes and forms. Sambo players do it a lot, right? And so
go ahead.
Oh, I just want to just finish this thing because I think you'd like it. Do you remember when you were a kid? You played this game, or you'd have this book, Find the Object, right?
Yep.
And so like you have this collage, this picture,
Where's
and it's
Waldo?
got and it's got all these pictures everywhere, and they're hidden, and you have to find it, right? So for me, when I look at forms, it's like a game of like find the tool.
Right.
Where's the tool in there?
Yeah.
You know, and so like when I look at stuff like this, for instance, okay, I'm looking at, you know, where he's kind of, what he's doing here. Here's the, hold on. Okay, so you see where he's trapping up the hands, okay? He's trapping up the hands, and then he's throwing in this finger strike, right? And then he's using it to pull the guy's hands down. Well, I don't find that very realistic, but I like the idea of tying up the guy's hands, right? So, and keeping him busy. So how that's going to work for me is if I'm in some sort of scrimmage, I might crash in, kind of move the hand out and put that hand up, right? And then if he, to bait him or something, and if he takes that hand, thank you, I'm going to use that to strip and just go in and take body. And, you know, now I never thought about doing that until I cross-trained with in my MMA club that I train in.
Right.
And these guys do things live, so it's all these hand fighting drills. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, where's the tool? I'm playing that game of where's the tool. I don't look at this as just, okay, this is exactly how I'm going to use it. I look at it as what he's doing. He's stimulating a response. So this might trigger me to think of something else to get the same response. Do you know what I mean? Like he's triggering a response to get the guy's hands up. So I might not just do this technique. I might just throw my hand up in that space in center line for him to put that hand up, and I might just bypass or kind of just put it down to go for a clinch or something. But you see what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to share.
I mean, I would also point out, in all fairness, because we've used a lot of images from these books.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've never met the author, the person depicted in the book. I've never touched hands with them.
Right.
And so we can criticize the techniques as a learning tool, and I think it's very valid as examples of what works, what doesn't work, and it's good for discussion points. But I think it's important for listeners to understand, like, I have work that I did that is mistakes or isn't up to snuff. And I wouldn't want my life's work being judged on that one, like, video or one article or something I wrote 10 years ago, and then my understanding changed and grew. So it's just I just like to put that out there as a disclaimer. It's especially with somebody who's done this their whole life, like the author of that work is.
Oh,
I mean, what he does now may be very different. And
and no,
evolve,
and I also want to just clarify too, like when I bring these books out to show you, the main purpose is I love these books. I own these books.
They're
I
good
love
discussion
them.
pieces.
Yeah, they're great discussion
learn
pieces.
From them.
Yeah, and the thing is, these are just snapshots in time of these gentlemen who are well respected in this space of what they do.
Look at the history of Mantis specifically. It really wasn't a thing, and it's been turned into something that it's not.
Right.
Never was, and I say that it wasn't a thing because if you trace back the history of it and you look, why, like, take a form like Bungbu, for example.
Bungbu, yeah.
Okay. Let's say that it was one of the oldest forms, and it shows up in every line of Mantis. Right. 7-star, plum blossom, except for 6 harmony, and 8-step, which 8-step is off of 6 harmony. So why then, if that were the case, and you can go back to the guy where the split happens. So Liang Shushang, who was a badass, he was a Biaosher, which was an escort master, who trained other people to be escort guards and guard caravans. And you come back to him, and then all of a sudden after him, all these lines branch out. Well, now we've got the 7-star guy over here, and we got the Plum Blossom guy, and then we got the Taiji Mantis guy, and then we got the Taiji Plum Blossom Mantis guy over here. Six Harmony appeared a little while later, 2 generations after that. So you have this split. Well, why, if that form was so damn important and it was so old, why did they all change it?
Right.
Why is every version of it different?
Yeah.
And it's so different that unless you have a trained eye, you wouldn't even see that they're similar.
Right.
Right. So Lo Guan Yu, was student who was the teacher of Wang Hongfeng, who we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Wang Hongfeng taught your teacher.
Right.
So Lo Guan Yu comes out of Yantai and goes to Jin Wu as a representative of Mantis boxing, right?
Yep.
And Jin Wu is like a YMCA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Kung Fu Association.
And
yeah.
He comes out of Yantai and he teaches in his lifetime 82 forms as he's at Jin Wu. How do you have time to fight?
Right.
And teach grappling, and I mean, could you teach 82 forms and have time and you do this full time, right?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, you don't? I'm sorry.
No, I don't. This is just my side gig.
Big assumption on my part. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I'm a school teacher during the day. That's my main thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for you. Hats off to you. Very important job. It's but if I do this full time, and I don't have time to teach 82 forms and teach people how to grapple, strike, kick, right?
Yeah.
So when we get to representations and depictions of Mantis, and a lot of times it's the teacher and the practitioner's best guess or best representation of what they think the art was.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what it was before. So.
No, for sure. It's personal, man. It's personal. It's totally personal. Like, this stuff is evolutionary. It has to change. Did you always see a BJJ grappling connection to Mantis, or did BJJ open up more connections to your Mantis? Like, for me, like I find cross training makes you understand your base art better, whatever that is. And for me, like, everything's a remix, man. I remix everything back into my karate, and karate's my melting pot. So I just wanted to know what's your story behind that.
So when I started to get a real view and application experience of Mantis, there's a lot of the striking and kicking component, heavily focused on that. And I wasn't doing BJJ at that time. And It was a few years later that I took up BJJ, 2011 that I started it.
Yeah.
Late 2011. And by 2012, I had enough exposure to it to start to see the grappling that was in Mantis.
Okay. Yeah.
And by 2013, it was funny because I wrote this article in 2013, just self-published, not in any, it was, and it was about this epiphany, and I was super excited. I was like, oh man, you guys got to see this.
Yep.
Let's look at Mantis from this perspective. Let's step over to this other pillar.
Right.
Over here, right? Instead of looking at it from the first 2 pillars, let's go over here. And it was widely critically panned by the rest of the Mantis community. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I could see that. Yep.
And crapped on, and I was insulted and everything else. And I was like, all right, fine. Well, I'll just keep doing my thing. And my understanding and knowledge of it grew from there to, I mean, you want to see and this is funny, and this is egg on my face too. So there was a forum on just for the Mantis community, and there was a guy. This is before I did BJJ, and he was out on the West Coast, Northwest, I think Washington or something. But he was a longtime Mantis practitioner, and he started dabbling in BJJ.
Yeah.
And in Mantis there are these 12 keywords, and the keywords vary from line to line, teacher to teacher, somewhat, but really, they should be the teacher's 12 keywords, not a standardized. But that aside, he went on the forum and he made a comment that, hey guys, a lot of the 12 keywords work on the ground.
Right.
And he just got bashed.
Yeah.
What? And of course, everybody hated BJJ that was in any other traditional arts back then. And I didn't know enough to know whether he was right or wrong. It seemed like I was going off of my teacher at the time and his impression of it, kind of copying that, which is like, no. And then it was funny because after doing BJJ for a while, I actually want to do a video on this. And I haven't talked about this, and you shared something with me that you haven't told anybody about. And likewise.
Yeah.
Because I actually want to do a video on how the 12 keywords apply on the ground, because he was right.
Nice. Yeah.
Because if you look at, and the closest representation out there that could give you would be no gi BJJ.
Right.
And no jacket wrestling, folk wrestling from northern China, like Inner Mongolia.
Yeah.
Some of those, they have jacketless style.
Yeah.
If you look at no jacket, no gi, and you look at the techniques, then you will see a lot of techniques that you find in Mantis. But they also had jacket techniques in Mantis.
Right.
Because Shuaijiao is...
Shuaijiao, yeah.
Right. And a lot of the techniques that we have in Mantis are in Shuaijiao. Like that one we talked about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Kicking the knee and holding it and then punching the lapel. That's a Shuaijiao technique as well.
Right.
So that crossover is there, and there's a lot of parallels because there's just certain things that work and don't work. Like pluck in wrestling is called a snap down,
right?
I think.
Yeah.
If I remember the term correctly.
Yeah.
A necktie.
Yeah.
We call it a hook, but it's a necktie. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Fuksao in Wing Chun, they have this, Fuksao, the hook,
that's in White Crane as well. They have the hooking techniques as well in White Crane. So, White Crane is like the southern Mantis as far as the grappling. I think there's two. I haven't studied White Crane and I haven't looked into it deeply, but the stuff that I've kind of seen on a periphery has looked very much like what I would say is grappling, heavily grappling focused.
This is cool stuff. I got to come down to Boston sometime.
Definitely. Or I'll come up there, or vice versa.
Yeah, come to Toronto, man. We'll show you a good time. So, what is one huge, colossal myth about Kung Fu that you've broken in your teaching and training?
That Mantis was fake.
Yeah.
Well, let me say that differently. Mantis was a brand.
Right.
Was not a style.
Really?
It was a brand. Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. I never heard of it that way. Mantis being a brand.
So a lot of the history doesn't stand up, first of all. But the moves and the forms are not unique.
Yep.
They also exist, like one of the benefits I did have of doing those 50 different forms, they were from different styles of Chinese boxing. So I kind of get a different, like a wider lens, if you will, to see some cross comparison.
Yep.
And I taught for years, I also taught Tai Chi Chuan, also called Tai Chi.
Tai Chi, yeah.
And Mantis and Tai Chi have a lot of crossover. Same techniques, same keywords, a bulk of them. So same principles if you read the texts. And so there's nothing that stands out unique. And a lot of what's funny with Mantis is there's a style that isn't talked about a lot, but it's being more and more highlighted in the history circles is Meihua, which is plum blossom.
Yeah. I trained with a guy here that did plum blossom fist Mantis. Yeah. Li Chi Wai, his name is. Yeah.
So it's hard because plum blossom was kind of locked in later, but it was more a sect of people that would travel from city to city, and in the cities they would have these areas in the marketplace where they would have the Li Tai fights. Martial artists would get together and train together. Plum blossom. There's this is based on, by the way, Dr. Tom Green and Guodong is in China. They did a lot of research on Meihua Chuan.
Right.
And they would travel from city to city, and the techniques would get pollinated around China.
Yep.
And northern China specifically. And if you look at Mantis, the references to plum blossom are everywhere. They have forms named after it. They have a form called Meihua Chuan. They have techniques in the forms that are identical to Meihua.
Yeah.
So in one I did an article on, just posted my research notes really. One example is this. Do you see this? You see it in movies all the time, right?
Yep.
It's an en garde. Okay. It's an en garde, like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And all they did, so in Meihua Chuan, their form ends where they do a 180-degree turn to this. The Mantis sets, a bulk of them do a 180-degree turn and do this.
Right. Same.
And we spent years trying to figure out what is this move? What does this move? And people try to apply it and they try to make it mean something. And it was just a pose. It was like we're the Mantis guys.
Right. It's a signature thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, a brand, right?
Yeah.
A label.
Interesting.
So that would be probably the biggest myth, and I have a lot more evidence to back that up.
Yeah.
That I haven't released yet.
Yeah.
But it's pretty evident to me that if you isolate like the hooking, if you look at the forms and you look at the different lines and the forms from the different lines, there's a lot of similar movements and techniques, and that the hooking stuff doesn't hold water. It's like, okay, well those hooking moves are in Shuaijiao.
Right.
And sometimes they're specifically called hooks.
Right. For sure. I see these things as just hand manipulations, and ways to get around something.
They're really not. And that's another myth with Mantis that we have to get beyond is people trying to apply the hook to somebody's arm. You said it, I think 3 times since I've been talking to you. That you can't trap a boxer's hands. Yeah. Now there are ways to do it. There are traps and even boxers, and you said that too. Boxers know like you can do these little hook traps, right?
Right.
And that's fine. But this, come on. That's not going to trap a speeding punch that's coming at your head and somebody who's retracting the arm to hit you with the other side.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a trained fighter to do that because the symmetry of the human body, our physiology tells us, okay, when this side is active, this side is inactive. So in order for me to make this active, this one has to come back. So even if I'm just flailing and throwing wildly, it's like, where are those hooking? It doesn't work, Chris. And I tried for years and I don't have big hands. So it definitely doesn't work for me. And I've seen people make it work that have much bigger hands. But if we go back to that, if one person can make it work for them, then a technique, who's to say the technique is invalid? Because for them, it does work. But for everybody else, if you can't teach that to other people to use, then where's the value?
Yeah, no, for sure. I can't, like I said, I can't make things I can't pull off exactly the same technique in here and make it work. But the idea behind it, like for example, like, and combat sport players do it all the time. Wrestlers are perfect examples of hooking, right? Like they use hooking a lot. But there's
in the grapple. In the grappling. That's the thing, right?
Yeah. In the grapple. In the grapple.
But you could make that work, Chris, if you were grappling. The problem is when you put it in the striking context, it doesn't hold water.
No,
it gets
correct. So that's the thing. Like when I look at these things, I play that game of where's the tool? I play where can I use that? Where can I use that? Okay, these guys are displaying it as a strike. Some of them, like they'll do this as a strike. I mean, there's more.
I'm sorry.
I know. There's more effective ways.
So infuriating.
I know. Like bam, or like bam.
What? What are you trying to break your own wrist?
Exactly. No. I have even like I've tried doing that on a bag, and it hurts. I've hyperextended my wrist. Like it makes more anatomical sense to strike like this, right? Or open hand strikes, right?
Open hands, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it makes more. I don't know, but anyway.
Why complicate it, right?
Yeah.
So to go back to your friend who's the cop, that talked to you about how, I mean, why complicate it? If you want it to work for real and you want it to be self-defense, you want it to be self-defense oriented, why make it hard? Like the techniques should be simple. Yep. The application of using them in pressure is where the complexity becomes.
Yes.
Like, applying fear upon fear, right?
Yeah, that's well said. For sure. I mean, as I age now, I'm basically streamlining and stripping a lot of stuff. I mean, I still keep the forms because and I train them, to pay homage to my teachers, and also it's just a cool thing to pass on to people, to show. But trust me, like my personal expression of my martial arts now very different from what I was taught when I was a kid. Like I pick and choose. I delete a lot of things. I'll hold on to certain, like that. These hooking motions, like I said, I use them just to move hands out of the way. Yeah. Like just if I'm here or if the hands are here, I'll crash in. I'll just use it just to move the hand to go. Right. Like for that second, because that's all I have time for. Like a lot of these forms, you see a complete commitment of grabbing and this thumb is wrapped around the wrist. I mean, it's good if you're grappling. Like, if I'm gonna pull you,
not catching a strike.
Yeah, no way. There's no way you can grab a strike like the right. No way. I mean, unless of course.
I agree with you 100%. And I hope in doing podcasts and I like talking about this stuff because I want to raise the bar. I want people to see what we could be focused on, and we can grow and we can get this stuff back to what it was. But we have to be realistic. We have to be honest about the mistakes that we made together, not just blaming each other. You did this or you did that. We all are a party to it, and we're all responsible as teachers and lineage holders. We're all responsible to improve and not just be a carbon copy of somebody before us, because then we're holding on to a tool that doesn't necessarily work for us. I mean, and this is something, give this speech because you brought it up, so I'll just say it.
Yeah.
You brought it up before. I give this speech every time I give out a black belt, which is a whopping 4 times.
Yeah.
I've given out 4 black belts in 17 years.
Wow.
And to each of them, I gave the same speech. Make this your own.
Yes. Customize it. Personalize it.
Are not me, and I am not you. And now it's time for you to make this your personal. Like if I show you something and it doesn't work for you, don't use it.
Yep.
Don't be disrespectful to your teacher and say that doesn't work. Don't be a jerk.
Yep.
Do the thing and learn it to the best of your knowledge. But if it doesn't work, don't fight with it.
Yeah, don't crap on the teacher that showed it to you either, right? Like don't crap. Like to your point, I mean, I think we have a responsibility to make it our own, to try it, to test it. You know, if it doesn't work, discard it, or maybe you got to ask yourself, how hard have you tried to make it work, right? Like have you what have you done to play with it? You know, how much time did you put in? Like, for example, like I just came off of an Instagram post, I think a couple of days ago, and it's like it's all like clickbait type of stuff. People put this stuff out there. It's very typical. They'll show a traditional technique. It was a Chinese martial artist doing a let's see. He was walking forward and he gets pushed, and then he takes a step forward. He turns around and he gets kicked. He gets kicked in the back. So he steps and then he turns around. He enters and he does this movement where he goes like that and he throws the guy, right? And then the post was, is this going to work or not, right? And of course, that gets all kinds of traffic on that post. And then so my response was, I go, anything can work if you put in the time. If you need to make the necessary modifications to it, it can work, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so, it was a 50-50 split between, Chris, you're full of crap, or, oh, I like that comment, thank you, right? I mean, I always give benefit to the doubt. I mean, all this stuff over here, all this stuff to me, all has value. It's a matter of where's the tool,
Well, where would 7-Star Mantis be without, like, I remember trying to find books on Mantis, and finding books was rare, and you could find some, but Wong Hung Fung, same thing. I have a lot of disagreements with the applications shown in Wong Hung Fung's books.
Right.
But if it weren't for Wong Hung Fung, a lot of these forms and techniques, nobody would have any record of them.
Absolutely.
So I may not agree with the contents or the instructor on what they're showing, but it doesn't devalue their efforts. And none of us would be here if we didn't have the people before us to build upon. So you can't just burn them down because you don't agree with something. It's like, well, then make it better and build and make it, and that's one thing I like with Ando is he, because essentially we both know him. One thing I like about him is that he's not talking down to about other people.
Never.
Unless he's reaching a hand down to help lift them up. And that's a good attitude, a good mentality. And it's too easy to just be negative. And I want that message conveyed when we talk about this stuff. It's important because I respect it. I mean, I don't have a book out yet.
Right.
So
get writing.
Wait. Oh, it's almost done. But even when I do, the people are going to take issue with certain things and criticize it. And it's easy when you step up on that pedestal, you become the target. So if you disagree with it, then make something better.
Yeah, 100%. Right? Have an argument. Have a counterpoint. Now I always I wasn't always like this. I mean, I think it's a sign of age.
Yeah. I was angry about it years ago.
Oh yeah. Like I would trust me, man, we can talk for another round on this. I came full circle with this whole karate thing. There was a time where I totally gave up on it. I got so frustrated. I said, this stuff doesn't work. I'm going to do kickboxing instead. I'm going to do, and at one point there was a fashionable thing here in Canada, reality-based self-defense, RBSD, CQC, close quarter stuff, right? And so I partnered up with all these guys and stuff, and I didn't want to wear a gi anymore. I just wanted to train with all these guys. And for years I was into this, but then it comes full circle. I look back and I'm thinking, you know, a lot of the stuff that we did, a lot of these apps came from these forms. If you look at it, the forms kind of inform the application. They're just there. They're a snapshot in time. The master just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to forget all this stuff. I don't have access to an iPad or an iPhone or whatever. Yeah. My technology at the time, my leading edge technology is my mind and my body. So I'm going to transpose all of this stuff to people. And just that snapshot in time. But you got to take this and make it your own. Like all these masters wanted that. You see, like you see it in all the scripts and not all the scripts in the publications that they have made. Right. Pretty much every master had said something to this effect. Look, I'm guiding you here. These are the things that I have, but I want you to take it and make it your own. Pretty much every master on this planet that I've read about has this positive message out there, but people tend to stick to that form and they don't break it. So
yeah, if you change it, you're the outcast. You're the weirdo. There's something wrong with you. Why are you messing with this?
Yeah,
I think it speaks more to, and I'm not a psychologist, but there's something I saw a couple of years ago about why when you get into a political discussion, people get so upset.
Yeah.
And they had studied the psychology behind our brains actually activate. It goes into our serpent brain, the oldest part of our brain, where our worldview is our worldview. Mm-hmm. And whenever you are approaching someone with something that can shatter that worldview, it is life-threatening to their serpent brain. So you get the reaction of fight or flight. You get the same exact reaction as you would if you took a fist and swung at them, as you would saying something that will shatter their world. So if my worldview is that this Mantis style that I was taught and the way I was taught it is this is the Bible, this is the way it is, and you come at me with something different, then my reaction is going to be to fight or flight. And it's going to just no.
Yeah. And you're protecting that confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm keeping myself intact psychologically.
Yeah.
So I don't go insane.
No, for sure. My way of coping, and I had to learn this, and the more I practice it, the better I get at it. I'm not perfect at it. It's like you're in a meeting or a corporate meeting, a work meeting or whatever, or just talking to anybody at a party. Let's just say you don't know them very well, and then they say something that's very different from your core beliefs, right? So how do you accept that? So the way you accept it, from my experience, is you got to understand. You just got to calm down, and you got to understand that there's a reason why they're saying this, right? And you got to keep probing to figure out what that reason is. And those reasons kind of tie to, upbringing, people that they hang with, interpersonal or intrapersonal problems that they're having. You name it, right? There's a whole ball there that you need to just unpack before you get all
Yes, but we don't want to talk to each other anymore.
No,
we just want to go on social media and vomit on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And then our job was done. We did our societal duty by expressing our opinion instead of listen. One of my favorite sayings is you have 2 ears, 1 mouth.
That's
Do
right.
the math, right?
That's right. Do the math. But man, it's been a blast. Before we end, so what's next for Randy Brown? Projects, seminars, personal goals? Shoot, go for it.
Getting through the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. And
relaunching my school, and I would like to do seminars and and be able to travel around and share, and that's just keep putting things out. I'm working on a book that I can hopefully finish up this winter. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
I'm excited. I keep me posted on all your going abouts, and I'll definitely come and visit you.
Hey.
Boston's not far away, and we'll have
I think we can have some fun. Definitely.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man.
Good.
I love like-minded, people like yourself, and this is the beginning, brother. We'll stay in touch some more.
Yes.
If you have a podcast, I'd love to chat with you too. So let me know.
Definitely.
Keep me posted.
Definitely. When I start doing interviews again, I'll definitely be my first call.
Oh, appreciate that, man. And this is a special interview because this is the very last one I'm doing of 2020. Sounds like a finality here, but no, Christmas, man. I wanted to end things up with a bang.